Hello and welcome. In this tutorial we are going to be writing an example essay. We looked at persuasive and argumentative essays, so that's what we're going to be looking at today. So again, I'm going to pull up the possible structures for the essays. So I'm going to be using the second one here, the middle one here. So I'm not going to actually write an introduction or a conclusion, but we're going to look at some common objections, counter-arguments, some opinions, and how we may structure it, and we're going to talk a little bit about audience and purpose. So I'm going to be writing about school uniforms, and I'm going to be arguing that they are beneficial, and my audience is going to be to either a teacher or to the school administration. So obviously the essay would change a lot if you're trying to appeal to students rather than the school administration. So let's just go down here. Let's go to first the objections. So what are some common objections against school uniforms? So one maybe prevents students from showing off their individuality, displaying individuality. Okay, so that's one common objection. Less choice of clothes in the morning. What else could there be? Maybe may cost more if uniforms are not priced appropriately. Okay, so we're just going to come up with a couple. This one I think is the main one that would be brought up. Now, when you're writing an argumentative or persuasive essay, it's easy to choose the weakest arguments from the other point of view and then smack them down. But that would be a straw man fallacy. So you set up this weak argument that the other side could use as a counterexample, and then you just defeat it because it's easy. So if there really is a good argument for the other point of view, you should probably bring that up as long as you have good counterexamples, good counter-arguments. So let's think about possible benefits to school uniforms. So one could be safety. So this is a good one for the school administration because they're always going to be thinking about safety in a school. So let's say easier to discover, notice intruders in the school. Whether that's students from other schools or people from the community or whatever else, it's easier to notice when there's someone who's not at place in the school. So I think that's a pretty strong one just because if we're writing it for an audience of a teacher or school administration, then this argument is going to be a good one because we're talking about safety. So parents, this might work for them as well. They might see the benefit of having it be easier for intruders to be noticed. Second opinion could be environment. So promotes a more studious environment. So why does it do that? Well, maybe you figure if you're wearing school uniforms and there's a little bit more prestige, you'd have to back that up with other aspects of the school, but you could argue that school uniforms promote a better environment. I mean, it's difficult to show conclusive proof that that's the case, but it could be an argument that you could use. A third one could be reduces anxiety. So students don't have to worry about what they're going to wear that morning because they already have their clothes chosen. They have to wear their school uniforms. Teens are already overstressed. Easy choices. Okay, so those could be three of the arguments. I think this one is probably one of the weaker ones, so I'm going to leave it there sandwiched in the middle. I think this one's quite strong, and this one's pretty good. Reduces anxiety. I'm not sure that it's the strongest one, so I'm just going to move that one there, and I'll move that one to the first spot there. Okay, so reduces anxiety. Teens are already overstressed, and then environment, you'd have to find a little bit of research on this, and then safety. So this is a strong one to leave the audience with at the end. Objections, prevents students from displaying individuality. So since we're talking about a school administration, we could talk about teachable moment. You could talk about how it isn't the clothes that make the individual. An individual is more than just what they put on their backs. It's their personality. They have other ways to show off who they are. So students have other ways of showing off their personality. So you're not going to get judged just based on what you wear and form cliques around what type of clothing you wear. So maybe more inclusive atmosphere. Less choice of clothes in the morning. I don't think we need to deal with this objection because we're already going to be countering it in this reduction of anxiety. So we'll take that one out. Maybe subject to bullying from students from other schools. So we're not going to deal with that one. They could already be bullied by students from other schools, and I'm not sure that uniforms are actually going to make it worse. May cost more if uniforms are not priced appropriately. So this one's easy to deal with. So cost reduction program you put in place. So you could charge a certain amount for the school uniforms and then have special pricing for students whose parents show financial need. So you can have them a little bit subsidized. And considering the fact that you're buying school uniforms for every single student in a huge school, the company should be able to offer you a fairly decent price point for the uniforms. So I think those are two pretty good objections, and I think we've got some good evidence to counter that. So I think this would be the way I would organize it. I'd probably start with the objections after the introduction, and then have your first opinion, second opinion, third opinion. This one is pretty good, and this one can appeal to both teenagers, teachers, administration, and parents. Environment, this one is more for teachers and or the parents and the administration. I'm not sure this is quite a good enough argument. It's possible. I'm not sure that I want to use it. So you might want to think about another argument to replace this one. So as you're writing your essay, usually when you start writing about these things and once you finish your first paragraph, you may have thought of a better argument to replace this one with. This one I think is going to be quite strong. So I would probably save this to the end. So I'd write these out first, then this, after the introduction. The conclusion will come at the end, and it's basically just going to be an echo of the introduction. So this one's, it's fine for now. We'll leave it. The third one's safety. It's easier to notice intruders in the school. So this is going to be a big one just because everyone is wearing the school uniform. So that's fine. If we have 3 opinions, we may want to have 3 objections. So we can maybe have one such as uniform rules are difficult to enforce. Not really a counter argument. Uniform rules are difficult to enforce. Just because something is difficult doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. So maybe you could argue that by holding students to a higher standard based on their dress code, then that will show them the expectation that you'll be holding them to a higher standard overall, which goes along to this studious environment bit. So higher translate into academic. Okay, so that's your basic structure, and really that's all you need to get started on your essay. If you're using direct quotes, you need to have all those websites saved. If you're borrowing ideas, and you're borrowing them closely, you should have the website listed. But that's really all you need to get started on your essay. So I'm not actually going to write out the essay because it's just going to take too much time. And I think the main part, more than anything, is just getting your ideas down on the page like this first. Once you have this written out, this is your math equation. Now you just have to fill in the blanks, the words of the essay themselves. And that's the easy part. Once you have this part done, most of the difficult bits are done. Now comes the long and sometimes boring part of actually taking the time to go through and write out the essay. But that's all you really need. So that's all we're going to talk about for now. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.